You're listening to GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026, and it's about 20 past the hour here on a Wednesday afternoon, and we are tracking some ongoing severe storms that are moving across the region. So, of course, we have talked about the possibility of us doing another live stream because of some potential severe thunderstorms, and we are once again dealing with severe thunderstorms across the local area, across the viewing area. And so the thunderstorms developed across southeastern Kansas, and they are now starting to progress into our area across southwestern Missouri. And so that, of course, is what we're going to be watching for very closely. If you are new to our GWP live streams, of course, we talk about some of the national weather across the country, but we also have a main focus on the local viewing area of the Great World Productions, which of course is in the state of Missouri, just kind of highlighting the main area that we show you. So we go from the Kansas-Missouri border, starting at Kansas City, going down to Joplin, over to Springfield, around the Raleigh area, up to Jefferson City, Columbia, and then along Interstate 70. That's kind of our main viewing area that we look out for here on GWP. But again, sometimes we'll show you some other activity across the country, like we've got some strong storms currently across Ohio into Pennsylvania right now, Iowa, Wisconsin. We've had lots of activity across that region already so far this week. And then we've even had a few new storms that have developed across central and northern Texas. And now those have moved into Oklahoma as well as into our area across Missouri. So let's take a look at a few of these storms that are moving in. We currently have one severe thunderstorm warning that is actually affecting the state of Missouri within our viewing area. And we've got this one up in Bates County, also clipping into southern Cass County as well. So let's go ahead and get some more information on that new warning that we have. So we've got severe thunderstorm warning coming from the National Weather Service in Pleasant Hill for Miami, Lynn, counties in Kansas, and then for Cass and Bates County in Missouri. This goes in effect until 5 p.m. At 4:12 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Pleasanton, moving to the northeast 55 miles per hour. This storm is exactly where we had that tornado that was near the Kansas-Missouri border Monday night. We covered that live Monday night at around 9 o'clock. Well, once again, we have a severe thunderstorm in that area. This one, however, is for severe thunderstorm, not necessarily for a tornado. So for wind and hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, that's going to be the main threats. This is a radar-indicated threat, so that tells us that we don't have any confirmation that this is actually happening on the ground. But again, we do know that 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail are going to be possible with this particular storm. So, of course, that's what we're watching. So locations that could be impacted by this include Harrisonville. We've got Peculiar, Butler, Adrian, Pleasanton over in Kansas. We've also got Lynn Valley, Cleveland as well, Lake Annetta, which we talked about being affected by storms Monday night as well. So all of those areas are under this severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 5 p.m. We're looking at mile markers 133 to 165. So if you are in this warned area, you'll want to make sure to take shelter on the lowest floor, most interior room of a lowest floor of the building that you're in. So you'll want to make sure to do that very soon because, well, not necessarily very soon, but really as quickly as you can because that is an active situation that we're dealing with. That is just to the north of Butler, going along Interstate 49, including Adrian up to Archie, and then this also includes Garden City just to the east of Interstate 49, and then it does go all the way up to Harrisonville, which is getting into kind of southern Kansas City metro area. So that's where that warning goes. That's till 5 p.m. Again, one of our main concerns with this storm here is going to be for hail. And so you'll notice right on the state line, that is where we've got some of the heaviest of the precipitation, as well as the most likely spot for hail. So this is US 69, this is Interstate 49, and then just to the west of Butler is where we've got that hail core just to the northeast of Pleasanton in Kansas. So that is the area that we're watching for 60-mile-per-hour winds. But really, I have to say, I think hail is going to be our biggest concern out of this particular storm, as so far we've already had earlier today, about an hour ago, we had golf ball size hail that was reported in Kansas. A few other locations, we had half-dollar size hail as well. And if we look at the Storm Prediction Center's storm reports that we've had so far today, Again, a few of those have come into Kansas here. We had Cherryville in Montgomery County, Kansas, quarter size hail was reported. And then again, as we mentioned, we had in Cherryville also some golf ball size hail. And then just west of Erie in Neosho County, Kansas, golf ball size hail was reported there. Coffeyville, so Coffeyville also was reported at half-dollar size hail, which is just a little bit smaller, but still destructive, or it can be severe, and it can cause severe damage. And then in Wyandotte County, we had quarter size hail reported. That was at 3:56 p.m. is when that took place. We also had a 60 mile per hour wind gust that was reported near Cherryville and Montgomery, Kansas. That was reported at 2:48. So just a little bit ago, we had 60 mile per hour winds as well as quarter to even half-dollar to even upwards of golf ball size hail that was reported. As far as the confirmation that we had, there was a hospital near Erie in Neosho County, Kansas, that the emergency room reported golf ball size hail. So that is where the report came from. So again, that's some of the latest information that we have on the storm reports from these storms that we're dealing with across southeastern Kansas that are now moving into Kansas City. Kansas City, you were under a severe thunderstorm warning. The northern portion of Kansas City, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, but this is not including the metro itself. This severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile per hour winds and quarter size hail. At 4:09 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located just to the north of Kansas City, moving northeast at 40. So this is moving away towards Liberty, as well as into Kearney. Kearney is also under this warning. The storm is now just moving to the west of Lawson. And so this is right along, so this is right along the interstate where we're experiencing the potential for some large hail across that region. So here's Interstate 35, and then again, we've got some of that hail just to the south of Kearney, around Roosterville, and then again around Liberty as well, which is on the northern side of Kansas City. But Kansas City itself, you are currently not under this warning at this point in time. So you have a warning to your northeast, and then you have a warning to your south, including Harrisonville, going down to Butler. That was the area that we just watched. But again, the environment is definitely favorable for severe storms this afternoon, and maybe not necessarily just one severe storm. We could get multiple, and so you'll notice that we have storms behind storms, and so that's something else that we're going to be watching for as we go through this afternoon. The rest of the storms that we're dealing with are currently just to the west of the viewing area, but they will very likely be moving into southwestern Missouri within the next hour or so. We've got this storm in Fort Scott that's just to our west. That storm is for ping pong ball size hail and 60 mile per hour winds. We're also watching this storm that I've got my cursor near to the west of Joplin. That storm is for golf ball size hail and 60 mile per hour winds. There is a considerable threat tag with this warning that goes in effect. Let's see, it's radar indicated. This goes in effect for Cherokee County in Kansas. So Cherokee County, Kansas, just to the west of Joplin. And that is where we're looking at golf ball size hail and 60 mile per hour winds. That is going to be something that we're going to be watching for. So pretty big hail core with this particular storm. You'll notice its movement. It was in northeastern Oklahoma, and then it's taken a path kind of like this. So it's moving towards the northeast. So if we were just to kind of estimate where this storm is going to be going, that's about the path that it would be taking, somewhere kind of in this area. So just to the north of Joplin, it looks like that Joplin is going to be spared from this. But if you are traveling along Interstate 49 or Highway 43, which is not currently shown on this map, but it's somewhere in this area, which of course there's also a detour in case you're aware of that. But this storm is going to be kind of moving in that direction over the next 20 to 30 minutes, crossing over into northern Jasper County and southern Barton County. So if that hail core is able to hold together, that we will very likely see an extension on that particular storm. So that is something that we will be watching for very closely. We've got 2 tornado watches at this point in time. We've got one across the viewing area that remains in effect until 9 p.m. That's the one that we actually sent out a message on, or that we sent a post out on the Great World Productions YouTube channel. We sent out a post earlier today talking about that. That tornado watch goes in effect until 9 o'clock. That's for our southern counties in the western or our southwestern counties, and then our northwestern counties are under a tornado watch. That one goes in effect until 9 o'clock as well. So that was a separate tornado watch that was issued just a little bit later. So, of course, that is something that we're going to be watching for very closely. But again, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are now starting to press into the state of Missouri. We've currently got 3 active warnings in the state of Missouri, one of those being in the viewing area. So things are definitely starting to get going here on this Wednesday afternoon. Of course, we already have had some severe weather earlier this week. We had some storms around Joplin just around midnight this morning. That was from last night's severe storms. Nowhere else was really affected by that here in our viewing area, but Joplin did see some strong storms that moved through this morning. And then we also had storms Monday night, one of which produced a tornado around Pleasanton, Kansas, around the Kansas-Missouri border. That tornadic storm then moved into Bates County, and it didn't produce a tornado in Missouri, but there was warnings associated with it. So that's something, of course, that we have been watching very closely as well. So again, so several days of severe weather. We've also talked about how this is not the only day that we're going to be dealing with severe storms. We're also going to have severe weather as we go into your Friday as well. So we'll have a bit of a break tomorrow, and that will allow for our season finale to premiere. So our season finale has been pushed back a couple of times. It will premiere tomorrow night at 9 p.m. There's really no scenario in which that doesn't happen, but we have had to push it back a couple of days because of the ongoing severe storms across the viewing area. But we now can confirm that our season 5 finale of the Great World Podcast will be premiering at 9 p.m. So you'll have to stay tuned for that on the day where we don't have severe weather ongoing across the region. In fact, let's go ahead and show you. So we've got that severe weather risk today. There it is, slight risk across the majority of the state of Missouri, also getting into Oklahoma and Texas and across the Great Lakes as well. But then as we go into tomorrow, you'll notice that we don't have that severe weather threat. Well, southeastern Missouri will, but everywhere else here, we're not going to be experiencing that. It's going to be further to our east where we're going to have that threat across upstate New York. We've got that slight risk and then that marginal risk as we go into Tennessee, Arkansas, and then again the southeastern part of the state, as well as into Kentucky and Ohio and Pennsylvania as well. So several areas getting involved in that tomorrow, but that does not include us here in the state of Missouri. But we are going to be watching for Wednesday as we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather. Let me just go a little bit closer on that. So the orange is that enhanced risk. And so again, I'll outline our viewing area just one more time, kind of in that zone right there, roughly. It's roughly our viewing area. And so again, pretty much the entire area is under that enhanced risk. A little bit of us are under that slight risk, but most of us are under that enhanced severe weather risk as we go into Friday. So that is something that we are going to have to watch as we go into your Friday as well. But again, for the time being, we're mainly focused on today's threat, which is, we'll go back to that here, your day 1 outlook. So yeah, let's go back to that here. Slight risk, again, goes for Kansas into Missouri and then stretching down into northern Texas where we've seen some new storms. And then it does extend all the way up to around Chicago and Milwaukee. That's kind of where we have the cutoff for the risk for today. So we are under that significant risk for tornadoes, as we mentioned, that intensity significant risk 1. That goes on a scale of 1 to 3. So we're at a 1 out of 3, which means that EF2 tornadoes are possible. And the good news is we don't have any higher level. The highest level today is that 1, but it does include us here in the state of Missouri. As far as wind goes, that's going to be a concern, but I think this is really a lesser of a concern. I think that hail is really our big concern today, as we could be looking at some areas, especially in western Missouri and eastern Kansas. Some areas could be looking at 2-inch in diameter hail or greater. So that, of course, is something that we're going to have to watch for very closely. All right, I want to see here, yes, so we have a new mesoscale discussion that has been issued, and this is showing that we have 1.5 inch in diameter hail all the way up to 2.5 inch in diameter hail. And then we're looking at tornadoes upwards of EF2s. So basically what this means is weak to slightly strong tornadoes are possible. Hail of up to 2.5 inches in diameter, so tennis ball size hail is really the maximum hail that we're expecting out of this particular grouping of thunderstorms. And then winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. So that would be kind of on the higher end of things. So that is what we're dealing with out of that latest discussion from the National or from the Storm Prediction Center. So the tornado watch, so you'll notice they put out kind of like a risk here. So like tornadoes, the likelihood is moderate. Strong tornadoes, EF2s are stronger, is a low risk overall. Severe wind, moderate risk. And then strong winds is going to be on the lower side. Severe hail, moderate. And then 2-inch hail is going to be moderate as well. So that is kind of what we're looking at here. This tornado watch again started at 2:30 and ends at 9 o'clock. That's what this means right here. And so then we had another tornado watch that was issued to the north of that. So this area highlighted in red, that was our newest tornado watch. That also goes in effect until 9 p.m. Moderate tornado risk, low strong tornado risk. So pretty much the same as what we had in the previous tornado watch. So both watches, again, low to moderate severe weather risk for both hail, wind, and isolated tornadoes. That is what the risk is identified by the Storm Prediction Center. Let's go ahead and update this radar here to see if we have any new information. So that storm just to the northwest of Joplin that we've been tracking in Cherokee County has now moved into Columbus. So Columbus, Kansas, you're likely experiencing some pretty strong hail at this point in time. Again, actually, we now have an observed tag on that warning. So yeah, we now have some new information. Hail has been observed from this storm. So we do have ground confirmation of severe hail reported with this storm. So this is no longer a radar indicated threat. We now have confirmation that damage or at least hail has been reported. And so at 4:33, a severe thunderstorm was located over Columbus. You'll notice this particular scan of the radar was at 4:34. So this was right when that report came in. And trained weather spotters have now reported golf ball size hail. So we've got a considerable observed tag on this severe thunderstorm warning that will soon be crossing over into southwestern Missouri, just to the north of Joplin, likely around Oronogo. It will likely move towards Jasper, Missouri. Next city as well could get involved in this. That's kind of really the path that we're watching for at this point in time. So it's moving northeast. So again, this is kind of the path of where we'll be dealing with this storm. In fact, let's go ahead. Again, if we were to just kind of draw a line, so this is just an estimate, of course. Now, the storm could weaken, but if it continues on the path that it's moving on, that's about where it would be going. So if you're anywhere within the highlighted region, that's where you're going to want to watch this very closely. So go ahead and get rid of that here. So yeah, that is what we're watching for. Again, severe hailstorm moving through Columbus, Kansas, and then we'll soon be moving into southwestern Missouri. At this point in time, we don't have any warnings across that area yet, but it is very well possible that these warnings get an extension on them. Then we also have this warning just to the southwest of Fort Scott. That's going to be closing in on Fort Scott. Radar indicated threat, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail with that storm. This was also kind of going on a northeasterly path. So this one will go probably just to the south of Rich Hill, north of Nevada. So that's where that severe storm is headed at this point in time. Let's get an update on our severe thunderstorm warning that is in Bates County and Cass County. The latest is 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. That's the radar indicated threat. So the hail is no longer at severe limits. So we're just below severe limits on hail, but 60-mile-per-hour winds are still going to be possible. We're looking at damage to roofs, siding, and trees, Harrisonville, Peculiar, Butler, and Adrian, and Garden City, and as well as into Archie. Those are some of the more moderately populated areas that are going to be impacted by this. Looks like the heaviest of the rain and the wind is going to be moving into Archie. So we're going to be watching for that very closely. Let's see if we can see where the winds are at with this particular storm on the velocity here. And not really seeing anything too strong at this point in time. I guess the good news is we don't have any rotation, so we're not concerned about a tornado with this particular storm. But again, potentially to the yeah, so that is good news at this point in time, but we will continue to update you on that. But particularly, our main threat with this storm is going to be some penny-sized hail and some 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then, of course, we're also watching this storm further to the west as well. So we'll be watching that very closely in the next several minutes. All right, well, we don't have anything for you new on the radar, so we are going to go ahead and we're now going to move into a brief intermission. We will return just before 4:45. All right, we are back live. This is GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It's about 4:45, and we're still covering some of the ongoing severe storms across the region. We just had a brief intermission here, as we do periodically on these live streams, but now we are back to give an update as we have still a couple of severe thunderstorms that are moving across this region, or some of them are at least are going to be moving in very soon, as we have this storm that's still ongoing across southeastern Kansas at this point in time. We mentioned that we now had confirmation that we have had some golf ball size hail reported by trained weather spotters. So that has been the latest information that we have on that, is that we have a severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect for Cherokee County until 5 p.m. Again, at 4:33 is when we had golf ball size hail that was reported in the area. So if you are in Baxter Springs, Columbus, Galena, Lowell, Neutral, or and then into Lawton and Skidmore, you need to take shelter because, again, we are looking at possibility of golf ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. There's a considerable threat tag as well as an observed tag for the hail. The wind has not been confirmed at this point in time, but again, there is still that potential for large hail. And then, so we're tracking that very closely. All right, then we also have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning across Bates and Cass County. So we just want to give you a quick update on that one. And yes, so we actually do have some new information on that warning. We now have, let's see, just looking at the new data as it comes in here. So we now have a new tag on this warning. We are now looking at 70-mile-per-hour winds instead of 60-mile-per-hour winds. So the wind threat has increased just a little bit with this storm. At 4:33 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Archie, near 7 miles northwest of Adrian, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Hazards include 70-mile-per-hour wind gust and penny-size hail. Both of those threats are radar indicated. We are looking at considerable damage possible to trees. Damage is also going to be possible to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. We will likely also see some power outages if we see those 70-mile-per-hour winds. Again, this still goes for Bates and Cass counties until 5 p.m. for 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. If you're traveling along Interstate 49 between mile markers 141 and 165, you are at risk for seeing this storm. So you will definitely want to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building now that we're talking about 70-mile-per-hour winds. Again, there is a considerable threat tag with this particular severe thunderstorm warning, and that does include Harrisonville, Adrian, and Archie are under a warning for considerable damage to trees as well as mobile homes and power lines as well. So again, 70-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible. As of right now, it looks like that the worst of the winds would be kind of on that leading Boeing segment right there. Let's go ahead and switch to velocities. And so we're a little bit close to the radar sites. That's why we're having some clutter in there. Let's go ahead and move to... Yeah, so currently we're just a little bit too close to the radar site to get a really good look at it on the velocities here. But yeah, so right here on this leading edge around the Garden City area, it's going to be moving to the north towards Pleasant Hill very soon. So that is where we have the risk of 70-mile-per-hour winds. Again, a considerable threat tag is ongoing with this particular severe thunderstorm warning. All right, we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued across Vernon County, which is in our viewing area. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Fort Scott. It is in Vernon County, but it does not include Nevada. It is just to the north of Nevada. The National Weather Service in Springfield has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Bourbon County and northwestern Vernon County, again, not including Nevada. This goes in effect until 5:30 p.m. At 4:43 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Fort Scott, moving to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. Both of these threats are a radar indicated threat. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. Locations impacted in this are going to include Fort Scott, Marmington, Fulton, Redfield, Richards, Stotesbury, Hammond, Horton, and so those are some of the cities that could be impacted by this storm. Again, the latest radar is showing us, let's go to one that's closer to the radar, or closer to where we're at here, closer to the storm. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, so it's just to the northwest of Fort Scott and it's moving towards the northeast. So we do have a strong storm moving over Rich Hill right now. Well, this storm is going to be moving into that area as well. So let's go ahead and show you where this is at. So again, here's where we've got that half-dollar size hail possibly coming down, and that's going to be moving at a path towards the northeast. So that does mean that just to the northeast of Fort Scott and then moving further towards the northeast to the southwest of Rich Hill, south of Hume, this is going to be the area that's going to be at risk for the potential, as we mentioned, for half-dollar size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail along US 69 moving towards the northeast into northwestern Vernon County. Again, this does not include Nevada. We are getting some light showers in central Vernon County, but this severe storm is just to our north. All right. So, and we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for this one right here. That's the one that we already had for Bates and Cass counties. Now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning just to the north of that, and that includes Cass and Jackson counties into northwestern Missouri. It also includes Miami and Johnson counties in Kansas, and this is producing some pretty severe hail at this point in time. So we've got severe thunderstorm warning, Miami and Johnson County in Kansas, Cass and Jackson counties in Missouri. This goes until 5:30 p.m. At 4:46 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Paola, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Hazards include 2-inch in diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is a radar indicated threat, so people and animals outdoor could be injured with 2-inch hail. Expect hail damage to roofs, sidings, and windows and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. Locations that are going to be impacted by this warning include Kansas City, the southern part of the metro area, Overland Park, Lee Summit, Leawood, Raytown, Grandview, Belton, Prairie Village, Raymore, Paola, Greenwood, Peculiar, Lewisburg, Mission Hills, Lake Winnebago, Cleveland, Hillsdale, Chills, and into Stanley as well, and Chris, however you pronounce that there. So if you are in this area, make sure that you take shelter immediately. This is unfortunately just really bad timing as we are moving into the rush hour of the evening commute across a major U.S. city that could be impacted by this storm. But again, we are looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds and 2-inch hail in association with this storm. There is a considerable threat tag because of the hail. 2-inch hail is going to cause considerable damage. Anytime we're talking about anything above a golf ball is considered considerable damage, and then anything above a baseball or higher is considered destructive. So we use baseline, considerable, and then destructive. This is a considerable threat tag. That's where we're at for this particular storm that does include Belton, Raymore, up to Lee Summit, and into the southern portion of Kansas City, also including a portion of Overland Park as well. So we've got some strong storms in and around Kansas City right now that are moving through, but a much more severe storm is just to the southwest of Kansas City around Lewisburg, Kansas, moving towards the northeast, eventually crossing over into the state line. And then not that far away from that warning, we have another warning for Cass and Bates County, where we're dealing with the possibility of some large hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds around Garden City, just to the east of Harrisonville. So 70-mile-per-hour winds, considerable threat tag with this storm right here in Bates and Cass County. And then we're looking at 2-inch hail So around lime-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds with a radar indicated threat tag with this storm. So we've got those are our newest, and then we've also got our new severe thunderstorm warning across Vernon County, and then we just had a new warning that was issued across. Yes, we just have a new warning issued for Bates and Jasper counties. This includes Lamar down to Carthage, and northern parts of Joplin is also under this warning. So this goes for northeastern Cherokee County in Kansas and Barton and Jasper counties in Missouri. This goes until 5:30 p.m. At 4:45 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Carl Junction, or 11 miles northwest of Joplin, moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. Hazards include golf ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This has been confirmed by trained weather spotters. So we have an observed and a considerable threat tag with this warning in Barton and Jasper counties. Impacts include people and animals could be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, sidings, and windows and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, sidings, and trees. Locations impacted include northern Joplin, Carthage, Webb City, Carl Junction, Lamar, Oronogo, Carterville, Jasper, Golden City, Airport Drive, Nashville, Carytown, Lamar, as well as into Avila and Brooklyn Heights, as well as many others that are under this warning. So, golf ball size hail that has been confirmed by trained weather spotters, and also the possibility of 60-mile-per-hour winds with this severe thunderstorm that has now crossed over from Kansas into southwestern Missouri. So, that is the update on this particular warning. So, again, considerable observed threat tag with this particular warning, particularly for the potential hail that we are going to be dealing with out of this storm. So that is something that is ongoing at this point in time. All right, we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued near the Kansas City area. So let's go ahead and get to that one. Seems like the radar is just a little bit behind at this point in time, but it's actually an extension off of the warning in Bates and Cass counties, kind of in this area, right over that National Weather Service office there in Pleasant Hill. We just had an extension. This is just to the west of Warrensburg. This goes for Cass, Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties. This goes in effect until 5:30 p.m. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail with this severe thunderstorm warning. At 4:52 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over East Lynn or near Garden City, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. So radar indicated threat, that does include portions of Interstate 70. So this warning right here across just to the east of Interstate 49 has now been extended to the northwest of Warrensburg, and that does go all the way up to Interstate 70. So that is the new warning that we are dealing with here. Let's go ahead and all right, so let's go ahead and expand to a more regional view of what we're dealing with. So at this point in time, right before the top of the hour, we have two severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect east of Interstate 49 near the Kansas City metro area. And so that is just to the west of Warrensburg at this point in time. So we've got two severe thunderstorm warnings. This one is an extension off of the previous one. Then we've got another severe thunderstorm warning that is just on the southern portion of the Kansas City metro area. So that's three warnings that we have. We also have a warning across Vernon County, just to the north of Nevada. And then we have a fifth warning across Jasper in Barton counties as well. All right, we are now going to move to a brief intermission. We will return momentarily. All right, you're listening into GWP Live's ongoing severe weather coverage. It is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, April 15th, and we are tracking some ongoing storms across the area. So let's go ahead and get to the latest on what we know on these storms. So we've got currently at this point in time, we have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings in the viewing area. So we're just going to kind of go through these storms, talk about the impacts, and look at where they're headed. So um, let's see, we just got a new scan with the radar. So we're going to see if we have any new updates. This warning has just expired. This one in Harrisonville and Archie, you are no longer under a severe thunderstorm warning. So Harrisonville and Archie, this warning has expired as of 2 minutes ago. It just hasn't quite updated here on the radar. But we do have pretty much just to that same area to the northeast, another severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. So let's go ahead and show you that one here. So again, this one is no longer here, so kind of ignore that one. So here is the one. Let's back that up a little bit. Okay. All right, here we are. So we've got severe thunderstorm warning for Lafayette, Jackson, and Johnson counties till 5:30. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, radar indicated threat. So this is just to the northeast of Harrisonville, around the Harrisonville area. Odessa is included in this, Garden City, Bates City, also into Fayetteville, Pittsville, and East Lynn. So those areas are under this warning. That goes until 5:30 p.m. If you are along Interstate 70 between mile markers 32 and 46, you are under this warning. So you'll want to make sure to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. So that is what we're watching with that storm. Again, that's just to the southeast of Pleasant Hill at this point in time, moving towards the east. So again, this warning did expire, just hasn't quite updated yet. Then we also have, let me just go ahead and fill that in here. So this warning has expired. This warning has expired. All of the rest of the warnings are still active. All right, let's go ahead and show you here. We've got so we've got the warning just to the southeast of Kansas City. And then we've got the warning on the southern portion of Kansas City. And so this goes for ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Interstates that you might want to avoid right now are Interstates 470 between mile markers 0 and 6, Interstate 435 between mile markers 69 and 77, and then Interstate 49 between mile markers 168 and 183. Kansas City, Overland Park, Lee Summit, Raytown, Grandview, Belton, Prairie Village, Raymore, Greenwood, Peculiar. Those are the areas that are under this warning. And again, the big concern is ping pong ball size hail, which is 1.5 inches in diameter, and 60-mile-per-hour winds. And so at this point in time, this is a radar indicated threat. But ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be possible. All right, here. So that's the warning on the south side of Kansas City, just to the southwest of Lee Summit. So this is going to affect the southern portion of the metro area. So again, lots of traffic is going to be coming through this area. So you might want to avoid some interstates and highways across that area. If you do travel across this region, you might want to avoid them for just a little bit longer if you can. So again, if that's possible, that's what I would recommend. All right, let's go into southwestern Missouri, get an update on these warnings out here across Barton and Jasper counties. Let's see where we're at with that warning here. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cherokee County in Kansas and then Barton and Jasper counties in Missouri. This goes in effect until 5:30 p.m. At 4:45, a severe thunderstorm was located near Carl Junction, 11 miles northwest of Joplin. Again, trained weather spotters have confirmed that we are experiencing this storm. And again, it's just to the north of Joplin at this point in time. And okay, we just got some new information. We are no longer The considerable threat tag has been dropped for this warning, but that doesn't mean that we're still not looking at severe damage possible. The latest update was at 5:04, a severe thunderstorm was located near Jasper, or 11 miles north of Carthage, moving east at 45, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and train spotters are now saying the hail is half-dollar size hail. So the hail has gotten a little bit smaller out of this storm. It's just to the north of Orinoco and just to the west of Jasper. Lamar, you are currently under this warning. So it could move, probably will move just to your south, just to the south of Lamar. So that's where we're going to be watching for. Again, it's moving off towards the northeast at this point in time. Okay, I'm being told there's a tornado warning. So I do want to see where that's at. It is not in our viewing area. We do have a tornado warning, but it's south of Des Moines. There it is, in case you were wondering, but that is not in the state of Missouri. Okay, we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning in Kansas City. So, of course, we had the old severe thunderstorm warning, or we had the other severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Kansas City. Now we have one that does include the metro area itself. So again, this is just really bad timing for evening commute. Again, if you are at your workplace and it's time to go home, you may want to wait at your workplace just a little bit longer because, well, first of all, you could dodge some traffic that you deal with every day, but you also might be able to dodge this storm. So here's the new warning. Clay County and Jackson counties in Missouri. This goes until 5:45 p.m. At 5:02 Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm was located near Raytown, which is a suburb on the south side of Kansas City. That's on the Missouri side, by the way. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Radar indicated threat on this new particular warning. Locations impacted include Kansas City, Independence, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, Raytown. So basically all of the suburbs that are on the Missouri side in Kansas City. So it's on the southeast, kind of eastern side of Kansas City. So if you're under this warning, you'll want to make sure to take shelter immediately because we're looking at the possibility of some severe hail. 60-mile-per-hour winds are also going to be possible out of that particular storm as well. So there it is. Again, Independence, you are likely getting hit with some very significant hail at this point in time. So we've got 3 storms in and around the Kansas City metro area. We've got one just to the southwest of Lee Summit. We've got that's going to be south of Overland Park. And then we have one in Independence, north of Lee Summit, closer to Independence, just east of Kansas City. And then we've got one just to the east of Pleasant Hill, west of Warrensburg along US 50. So we've got 3 severe thunderstorms near the Kansas City metro at this point in time. The main threat with each of these storms is going to be that hail risk. The hail risk is our main concern, but again, 60, maybe upwards of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts are going to be possible with these storms. All right, so let's go ahead and get a closer look here as it looks like that storm that is moving through Jasper and Barton counties has intensified just a little bit. Again, we recently had trained weather spotters that reported half-dollar size hail, so that has now been confirmed with this particular storm here. Just a little bit ago, this dangerous storm is moving just to the west of Jasper at this point in time. Again, we're looking now at so we're looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail with that storm. Looks like the worst of the hail at this point in time there's Nashville, Missouri. Let me go ahead and draw. Here's Highway 43. So the worst of the storm has now moved to the east of Highway 43. So So here's Highway 43. We've got Nashville, there's 43. Somewhere in here, I don't remember exactly where, somewhere in this area, we have a road closure. And so then there's a rerouted spot to the west of there. But anyways, there's 43, there's 49. Our hail core is right in the middle of that. So that is where the worst of the hail is, just to the west of Jasper. Based on what we're looking at, the worst of the hail will likely move just to the north of Jasper and just to the south of Lamar. So really from here to here, this is the area that I'm concerned about. We'll see this hail. And again, the latest report that we had was half-dollar size hail that was reported by trained weather spotters. That was observed. So again, observed tag on this warning for half-dollar size hail across Jasper and Barton counties. The worst of the storm 4 minutes ago appears to have been just to the west of Jasper, moving towards, looks like Boston here, west of Golden City, and then it's going to move kind of towards the northeast, just to the east of Lamar. So that is what we're dealing with. Again, this is a confirmed ongoing situation that we are dealing with there across um, that area here. So there's that hail core as of the latest scan. All right, so we're also tracking severe thunderstorms just to the north of Nevada, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and some half-dollar size hail with this particular warning. This is a radar indicated threat. Vernon County is under this severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30 p.m. So that's what we're watching very closely. No real updates at this point in time, although the worst of the storm appears to be around Fort Scott. That's where we've got the heaviest of the rain and potentially the hail. I want to also watch this storm just to the northeast of Rich Hill. That storm is starting to strengthen just a little bit, so that's something that we want to watch. Currently, there's no warning for that storm, but I would not be surprised if we had a new warning issued for that particular storm right here, just to the north of Nevada. Yeah, I would not be surprised if we had a new warning. So currently at this time, we don't have a warning. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have a special weather statement, but again, it's very likely that a warning will be issued for this area. So if you are just to the west of Appleton City, just to the northeast of Rich Hill, and around Interstate 49, particularly between Rich Hill and Butler and points east, you need to be prepared because a strong thunderstorm is going to be moving through that area very soon. All right. So just one moment here. I'm going to look at a few things here, just see if we have anything new to report. Of course, if you do have any questions that you would like to ask us here, you can call 417-448-0819. That is our number that you can call in, and we will answer any questions that you may have about the ongoing severe weather. So that is, of course, if you have any questions, maybe you might be driving in a particular location and you might want some guidance on what you should do. That's something we can provide here with our live streams on GWP Live. So just go right ahead and call that number if you have any questions or concerns about the current location that you're at, and we'll answer any of those weather questions. Again, our GWP line, media line that we use is 417-448-0819. So you'll want to make sure to do that if you have any uh, questions that you would like answered here. All right, let's go ahead and do a quick tally of how many warnings we have at this moment in time. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings at this point in time. So yeah, one warning around Kansas City. We've got one just to the south, one to the south and east west of Warrensburg, one to the north of Nevada. We've got one to the north of Joplin, and then we've also got a warning that I feel like should have one just to the east of Butler. So that's what we're looking at right now at this point in time. So 5 different storms that we are tracking very closely at this point in time. So we will continue to keep you updated here on any of the latest information. But for now, we will go ahead and we will move into a brief intermission. We will return at 5:20 p.m. We will return from our intermission. All right, welcome back into our live continuing coverage here on our GWP live stream here. So yeah, GWP live coverage on Wednesday, April 15th. So we are tracking some of the ongoing severe thunderstorms across the viewing area. We currently have 5 severe thunderstorm warnings across western Missouri. So let's go ahead and get into those. We'll start off here with this one along Interstate 49, just to the north of the Joplin area. Severe thunderstorm warning at 5:04. Actually, I'm going to do one brief check on that. Yep. So at 5:04, severe thunderstorm was located near Jasper, or 11 miles north of Carthage, moving east at 45 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, and half-dollar size hail. So trained weather spotters have confirmed the hail with this particular storm. So hail damage to vehicles is expected. Carthage, Lamar, Oronogo, Jasper, Golden City, Nashville, and into Lamar and Avila. Those are the areas that are going to be at risk for this particular storm as it continues to move further towards the northeast. I know that Oronogo and Carthage and Avila are in this warning, but I would say you're clear with this particular storm. It's going to be mainly to the northeast of there, as around Joplin or Jasper. So Jasper is where we're dealing with some of that heavy rain and some hail as well. And so that's going to be moving into northern Lamar as well. So that is something that we're going to be watching for very closely. So that's with that storm. Then we have another severe thunderstorm warning across northwestern Vernon County. So let's go ahead and get to the radar on there. Let's go ahead. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and half-dollar size hail. So we've got a radar indicated threat for this warning at this point in time. So not really any updates on that warning. I will see on radar if we have any update or so no updates at this point in time with the warning in northwestern Vernon County. Again, this storm is passing just to the north of Nevada. And the latest check we had, there was radar indicated threat of 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. So looking at into this hail core right now, we'll notice that it's around Stotesbury is the current location, and it continues to be moving towards the northeast, possibly getting into Rich Hill within the next 15 or 30 minutes or so. We just got a new scan here on the radar, so a little bit northeast of Stotesbury, and it's moving towards the northeast. So Rich Hill, you will soon be impacted by this particular storm. So southern Bates County, you could soon see impacts with this particular warning. So that's what we're looking at with that storm. Still no warning on this storm east of Butler, but we're still watching it very closely for the potential of some small hail. So we'll be watching that. Looks like we've got a few new warnings across the Kansas City areas. Let's go ahead and look at those here. Wrong one. All right, we'll start with this one to the south. This is a warning that goes in effect. So this is the one to the far southwest. So this one right here. This is for Jackson and Cass counties. Severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is a radar indicated threat, so nothing is confirmed out of that particular warning. So this one goes until 5:30. Then we've got another storm north of that. This includes Independence and downtown Kansas City. The eastern side of the KC Metro is under a warning. This goes for Clay and Jackson County in Missouri until 5:45. At 5:02, a severe thunderstorm was located near Raytown, moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Okay, we just got a new update at 5:19. It was located over Courtney, moving northeast at 35. 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, radar indicated threat. So at this point in time, we don't have confirmation that we're dealing with any hail that's currently hitting the ground out of either of these storms. But nonetheless, we've got very strong storms. One just to the north of Grandview along Interstate 49, and then one just to the west of the Kansas City Metro moving into the state of Missouri. So it's currently crossing that state line. All right, and then just east of Kansas City, severe thunderstorm warning. This is a new one for Ray, Lafayette, and Jackson counties until 6 p.m. At 5:13, a severe thunderstorm was located near Lake Latawana, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and quarter-size hail. So again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, pretty much out of each and every one of these warnings that are currently out for this area. Independence, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, Raytown, Green Valley, Odessa, Lake Latatuana, however you say that, I keep saying it wrong, I think, but Bates City as well as into Camden. So this goes for Interstate 70 between mile marker 16 and 37, as well as Interstate 470 between mile markers 7 and 16. So again, the biggest concern that I have with these storms is this is right during everybody's evening commute across a very populated area, across very busy interstates. And there could be some vehicles who are stuck in traffic, not really able to get away from these storms. So I would say that would be my biggest concern with the storms that we have at this point in time. So again, if you're across this area, I would just wait about an hour. If you're in Kansas City, these storms will be gone before too long. And so it would not be a bad idea to go ahead and maybe just wait those storms out. All right, so we've got 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, radar indicated threat. This is for the most eastern severe thunderstorm warning. So it's this one just to the northwest of Warrensburg. This is going to be expiring in just a few minutes, but that warning goes in effect for Jackson and Johnson counties. And same thing with this warning. So all four of these warnings are for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. It's all around the metro area. It's to the south of the metro, into the east of the metro, and of course over the metro itself. So very active storms at this point in time across the Kansas City metro area. All right, we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued in southwest Missouri. So let's go ahead and get to that. So we had the previous warning. Yeah, so we had this warning that goes until 5:30, where there was half-dollar size hail that was confirmed by spotters, but there has now been an extension on that warning just to the east of there. So here's that just to the northwest of Springfield. Here's the southern end of Stockton Lake. We've also got US 160, Interstate 44, and then you got Interstate 49. So that's our bearings with this particular storm. The new severe thunderstorm warning goes for Barton, Jasper, and Dade counties in Missouri until 6:15 p.m. At 5:22 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Jasper, or 9 miles to the south of Lamar, moving east at 35 miles per hour. So the movement on this particular storm has changed just a little bit in the last 20 or 30 minutes. We are now seeing more of an eastern movement with this storm versus a northeasterly movement like we had just a little bit ago. So, ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, that's going to be the threats with this storm. Radar indicate it. And so, locations impacted include Stockton Lake, Lamar, Greenfield, Lockwood, Jasper, Golden City, as well as into Lamar and Cedarville and Boston as well. So those are some of the areas that are under this particular warning. Again, primary threats are going to be ping pong ball size hail, which is about 1.5 inches in diameter and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this storm right now is where we have the worst of our hail in Missouri right now. And it's just to the west of Golden City, and it's moving east towards Golden City, and that means that Lockwood and Greenfield along US 160, you are in the path of this particular severe thunderstorm. So again, pretty strong hail signature out of this particular storm. Let's get a little bit closer to the radar site here. So yeah, pretty strong hail signature along Highway 126, but also it's just to the west of US 160, and then US 160 curves around right here, so it's right here. So again, just now moving into the 160 corridor. US 160 now being impacted by this storm just to the west of Golden City, where we're looking at the possibility of ping pong ball size hail. All right, and then we've still got an active warning across Bourbon and Vernon counties. We've actually got two separate ones. This one goes in effect until 5:30. 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail are going to be the main threats out of that one. So that is across northwestern Vernon County as well as in portions of Bourbon County. So that will be expiring at 4:30, or excuse me, at 5:30, which is in 1 minute. The warning for Bourbon County, specifically this warning, that one goes in effect until 6 p.m. All right, so the warning, this severe thunderstorm warning in Jasper and Barton County has just expired, but there is now an extension for eastern Barton and Jasper counties as well as for Dade County. So this is Dade County over here. So eastern Jasper, eastern Barton, and Dade County is under that new severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect until 6 p.m. All right, we are now going to move into a brief intermission. All right, and we are now back here on GWP Live Severe Weather Coverage. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It's about 5:35 p.m. and we are still tracking some ongoing severe storms across the region here as we've got a storm that has just now passed to the east of Joplin that's been producing some hail, and then a bunch of other storms around the Kansas City area as well. So we're going to go ahead and update you on the latest that you need to know. First thing I'm going to go ahead and say is that all of our severe thunderstorm warnings that we had for Bourbon and Vernon counties and Bates counties, all of those have now expired, and it doesn't appear that they will be extended. So that, of course, is good news that all of those storms have now weakened below severe limits. But again, still some heavy showers and storms moving through Rich Hill at this point in time, just to the north of Nevada as well. And then a little bit of a heavier storm headed around the Germantown area just to the west of Clinton, north of Appleton City. So some heavier storms out there across that region. But again, we are tracking several severe thunderstorm warnings across kind of this cluster here. We've got a new warning that's starting to backbuild just to the west of Lee Summit on the Kansas side. And then we've got a storm just to the northeast of Kansas City, and then one to the east of Kansas City as well. So let's go ahead and get the latest on all of these storms here. We'll start with the one on the west here that's newly issued. This goes in effect for Johnson and Jackson counties, Johnson County, Kansas, Jackson County, Missouri, until 6 p.m. At 5:26, a severe thunderstorm was located over Overland Park, moving northeast 35, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and quarter-size hail. This is a radar indicated threat. We're looking at hail damage to vehicles as expected, and then wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Kansas City, Overland Park, Olathe, Independence, Lee Summit, Leawood, Raytown, Grandview, Prairie Village, Fairway, as well as many other areas. Along the interstates, we're looking at Interstate 70 between mile markers 5 and 14, Interstate 47 between 0 and 14, Interstate 435 between 58 and 81, Interstate 49 between 179 and 183. Again, one of the reasons why we're listing off the interstates is because we are currently in the middle of rush hour traffic across a more populated area, and so that is part of the reason why we're watching these storms very closely, because we do have some concern that that might be impacting the evening commute this evening. So again, that storm is around Overland Park on the southern end of Kansas City. Then we've got a few other storms that are in Kansas City and points to the east of there. This one in effect for the Kansas City metro area. This goes in effect until 5:45. Let's see. This is for Clay and Jackson counties in Missouri till 5:45, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Locations impacted include Kansas City, Independence, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, Raytown, Liberty, Prairie Village, North Kansas City, Mission Hills, Sugar Creek, as well as many others under this warning. So we're watching this very closely till 5:45. Again, the worst of the hail appears to have now moved past Kansas City, and it's to the north of Independence. That's where we've got some of this heavier hail that is ongoing just to the southwest of Liberty, Missouri. So right in this area, that's where we're likely seeing some pretty big hail at this moment in time. We've also got a severe thunderstorm warning around the Oak Grove area. This is just the east of Grain Valley along Interstate 70. So we're watching that storm. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for this area. This goes for Lafayette and Jackson counties until 6 p.m. And at 5:33 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Levisay, and it was moving, or 7 miles to the east of Buckner, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. We are looking at the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. This is a radar indicated threat. So there's some of that hail that we're dealing with just to the southwest of Lexington. And then again, some strong winds possible as well. Looks like we've got some heavier thunderstorms just to the north of Oak Grove and Bates City, some heavier rainfall with some gusty winds. That's right along Interstate 70. So we've got those three storms along and south of Interstate 70 around the Kansas City metro area. And then we have this storm that is ongoing in southwest Missouri. And there we go. Those for Barton and Jasper counties. Let's go ahead and get the latest on that warning. Severe thunderstorm warning for Barton, Jasper, and Dade counties until 6:15. This goes for ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This is a radar indicated threat. So we are also watching that very closely. All right. And it appears that we just had a flash flood warning that has just been issued for Barton and Jasper County. We've also got another severe thunderstorm that is moving in just on the west side of Joplin at this point in time. All right, so flash flood warning for Cherokee County in Kansas, Barton and Jasper County in Missouri. This goes in effect until 11:45 as we've already had several inches of rainfall. So if you're in this red polygon area, you'll need to watch out for the possibility of flash flooding. You'll want to make sure to seek higher ground and to turn around, don't drown. If there is any water over a roadway, then it is not safe to cross. So that is the main message that we have with that. All right. Okay. We just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Clinton, Missouri. Let's go ahead and look at that here. Okay. This goes for Henry County in Missouri, central Missouri, Henry County, till 6:15 p.m. At 5:35 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Montrose, or 14 miles west of Clinton, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Hazards include 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. We're looking at hail damage to vehicles, wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. So we've got Clinton, Yurch, Calhoun, Montrose, and Truman Lake that are under this warning. So there it is, just to the west of just to the west of US 65, just to the west of Clinton as well. So severe thunderstorm will soon be moving into Clinton. Clinton, Missouri, you are now under a warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So this warning was severe about a half hour ago. Then the warnings all expired, and now the warnings have returned. So that is what we're dealing with at this point in time. So we also had a flood advisory that was issued in Bourbon County until 9:30 p.m. So not as significant as that flash flood warning that we have in Barton and Jasper County, but still some ongoing flood concerns in Bourbon County across Kansas. All right, let's go to a more regional view of what we are dealing with at this point in time. So we currently have across the country, we currently have 26 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have one tornado warning and two flash flood warnings. As far as where those storms are at, we've got storms across the Red River Valley in northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. We've got storms in northeast Oklahoma, and then really just going all the way through Wisconsin. So all the way from northeast Oklahoma to southern Wisconsin, we do have storms. And then we've got an additional cluster of storms across Ohio and Pennsylvania that we're tracking as well. So three main areas of concern for this evening when it comes to those severe storms. Of course, a lot of those are ongoing here into the state of Missouri. We also have, I don't want anybody to forget, we do still have a tornado watch across all of the areas that are shown on this map in yellow until 9 p.m. That includes Joplin, Springfield, Nevada, spreading over to kind of Hermitage is under that tornado watch. This goes up to Butler, Warrensburg, Sedalia, Kansas City. It also is just to the west of Columbia. Columbia, Jefferson City, and Lake of the Ozarks, you are currently not under this tornado watch, but everywhere else, tornado watch remains in effect until 9 p.m. this evening. And we haven't really had a whole lot of tornadic storms, but we have had quite a few severe storms that we have been tracking very closely. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and we're actually going to move into a brief. It's going to be a little bit of a longer intermission. We're going to come back at the top of the hour. It's actually going to be on a new live stream. So we're going to be setting up a new live stream very soon. 15-minute break. We will keep you updated here on GWP.